My question is regarding different timelines. Many spiritual leaders say the future is not fixed and many different timelines are possible. They say we must focus on the positive so that we can co-create a beneficial fifth dimension reality. Very few speak of extinction with conviction. You seem very positive that we must go through an extinction, but if we are void of ego, then we will not mind, as none of this will touch us, and we will see this as God's will. You often speak of these as the final days, indeed, and that we have a limited window of time to achieve ego death. To date, I have not had much success in meditation or doing in my ego. So how much time do we have? And can we have any effect on the outcome? And is there any chance we can avoid extinction? Yeah? Okay, these are common questions. But first of all, we're not heading for extinction. There's no such thing as extinction. Consciousness is eternal. It could never be extinguished. All that is coming to an end is suffering. You see, this question is based on the illusion that there's an actual material world. But matter is actually mind. We are in a dream. And what will happen simply is that we will shift literally in no time from one dream scene, Kali Yuga, to another dream scene, which will be Sat Yuga. And the shift of the dream will just be a very natural thing. There won't be any, oh, what happened? There won't be any confusion. We will just find ourselves in different bodies that will happen to be the bodies of gods and goddesses that are completely luminous, crystalline, clearly non-material bodies, bodies of subtle light, but that will be in a world, but a world that lacks the density of Kali Yuga, and a world in which the magical powers of mind that in Kali Yuga have atrophied and are almost non-existent to their fullness of power, so that anything you think in Sat Yuga will happen. You'll manifest it. You know, so the world will be simply a paradise of miraculous connectivity in which every consciousness would be united with every other. And the reality of the one self as the many will be a living truth. It will be the world as God. But this shift will happen without any messiness in between. There will simply be a washing out of the Kali Yuga, and even though we will be entering the singularity, that singularity is outside of time. So it won't be like, oh, when are we going to go back into Sat Yuga? No, it will be literally from a phenomenological perspective, just an immediate shift from one to the other, without any memory of Kali Yuga when Sat Yuga starts. That's all. Those who are in it will just assume that Sat Yuga has always been there, and it will be in medias res, as the literary people say about an epic. It starts in the middle. It's already underway, and yet it just began. But the creation is one which happens without some laborious building process. And everything happens in a magical way in Sat Yuga. That power of magic lasts, by the way, a lot of it, until nearly the end of the Silver Age. And that's how megalithic things got built, like the pyramids, for example, and 100-ton stones. They could be levitated. They didn't have cranes. We don't even have cranes now that could actually build pyramids. But these were all done through the power of mind to levitate matter. It wasn't done through ordinary construction processes. And that was true of all of the constructions of the earlier civilizations of the Silver and the Golden Age that no longer exist. So extinction is not the destiny of the world. It's renewal, rebirth. But in terms of time being fixed, yes, all time is present. Time is an illusion. So it's not true that time just will go on in a chaotic way, in whatever way people react to it. No, this has all been a movie that was pre-shot. And even though you may not know how it ends, that ending and that continuity will go on as the will of God determines, not that of a multiplicity of illusory egos. So I think that may be all I can say about that question. I will say this in terms of timeline. It's true that we are on a timeline from golden age to silver to copper to iron. That's not going to shift. But it's also true that time is going in the other direction. And although we're not aware of it, there is a kind of a Mobius strip world, which is the world that is known in physics as the world of antimatter, which is simply matter but going in the opposite direction in time. And you can, I'm sure, learn all about that by watching a few videos of Neil Turok, who is a physicist who is studying this and probably the most avant-garde thinker about this. But it's very clear that when creation happens, God works in binaries. There's always an apparent duality, including at the level of the cosmos itself. So, but even at the level of a subatomic particle, it comes out of the void, out of the 0-point energy, and it comes as let's say, an electron and a positron. It comes as matter and antimatter simultaneously, going in two different directions in time, but eventually they meet. And so the two time cycles that are both the same circle, but going in different directions, will meet. They cross at 6 o'clock, and they actually collide at midnight, 12 o'clock, which is what we're approaching. And that annihilates both of them, and what remains is the singularity. But it's not an extinction, because consciousness remains. So it's in fact, it is the return to the Godhead. The singularity is the Godhead in full awakened mode. And because God and the world are actually the same, when God awakens, there's no world. When God sleeps, then there's a world, because this is God's dream. And we are now at the moment where God is waking up and saying, uh-oh, what happened? This is a nightmare here. And says, hey, psh, and then makes it into a beautiful kingdom of heaven again, right? So that all happens instantaneously. So I hope that answers the question and gives you some solace. And in terms of not having success in meditation, don't worry about it. Stop trying. That's what the teachings have been about. Be effortless and surrender to God. Take refuge with the Lord. There's no other way than that. So that complete surrender of the yearning and the agony of feeling not able to do it, that's part of the illusion, because you already are that which you're trying to get to. Okay. I think we've covered that pretty well.